Hey Tkinter, welcome to part 3 section. So in this tutorial we explored how to integrate Django REST framework with a Python Tkinter framework or library. And as per the part 2, we saw how to retrieve the data from the Django models using the REST framework. As per the continue, we're gonna see the remaining CRUD application, CRUD part. We saw the retrieve part, but we have to proceed on add. When I say add, it's insert statement and update, delete, everything is still pending. So we're gonna discuss this today. And as usual, before jumping into the code, we can always come to our techie.com. It's a place for all techions where we can raise the question, and it's just like Stack Overflow again, and we can get the response from the various different techions from all over the world. And it has the ticketing system, so obviously we'll keep track until the ticket has been closed. So also all the techion has been responding to that ticket. They will get the points. Finally, the points will be converted as a dollar amount. That is the ultimate idea of this techie portal. Okay, so without delay, let's jump on to the code. So this is the part we developed so far, and if I provided the login username and password, it retrieved the data from the backend, REST framework backend, and place all the files, just like this. So if I run this again, and if I provide the username and password, the password is Tkinter123, and it retrieve the data just like this. Okay, now we need to focus on the add operation. When I say add, it's like insert the data to the database. So if you remember in part 2, we built all the buttons, available buttons for addition. So we're gonna use this each individual button with a command. So if you remember it, each command is nothing but it's a function of the execution. So we can give for addition, we can give something like command equal to the small command equal to add item. So now we have to define the function for this command, right? So let's create the function next to the retrieve. So define add item. So basically we have to get each individual data from the text box, and then assign the data to the database, right? That's what we want to do. So before adding to the database, we need to make sure whether we are receiving the token or not, right? Because that's what we did in the first part. So even for retrieving section, we are evaluating whether the token exists or not. The token is coming from the login function. So likewise we have to do for, let's say, try method. Go for try concept, and if token out is exist, Okay. If token out exists, basically from the login, it exists. Then we need to grab the text box for each individual, the room text and check-in text and checkout text, right? So those has to be encapsulated into our add function, right? So if room text, so this is the way to read the data, right? So that is a get the data. I believe we already used this method somewhere is here, right? That's where how we are grabbing the data from the text box from the user input. So if it is null or the guest text, right? Basically the username, sorry, the room number, or let me get rid of this, and equal to is null, or checking text equal to null, or checkout text equal to null. So if any of this input box doesn't have a data, then we need to pop up with the error, say message box. This is we already covered in part 2, how to call the error method. So let's say we can have a say required field, and then we can give a comment as please include all fields, something like that, right? Otherwise, if user provide all the data in a respective text box, then we have to call our endpoint. So if you remember, we have an endpoint for add, should be if we go to our backend API and our URL, it should be create, right? If I go for create, I should have an option to enter the value. So basically enter the room data. So likewise, we have to think about how to handle in our front end part. So we can grab this URL just like this, paste it here, and the data. So the data we have to provide in this JSON format, right? That's what we did in our document testing data, right? If you see this create option, right? So just grab this for a moment and paste it here. And this room number, we have to get this from here. Basically, we need to provide what room has to be assigned to the guest, right? And likewise for guest, who is our guest? And oh, here I have to put get method, get and grab the text like this and checkout like this, right? Super cool. And then also, if you remember, in our post request, we have to provide our content type as well as the authorization in a header request. This is called headers. If you familiar with HTTP post call, we have to, whenever we send the data, some set of application, it's required the headers, or it's called a payload. When I say payload, it's supposed like a data. So, but its headers something is a mandatory for an application to handle kind of authorization should be in headers section. Okay, So now what we have to do is we have to pass headers also is dictionary or JSON. We can copy this like this, but instead it should be in double quotes because it's an Python dictionary, and this should be in double quotes, and after the comma, and this should be in a string, and instead of this we should be by the time we should be able to know what we have to provide. So we have to provide the token out, because that is a token generate for the given user, right? And then once it's ready, then we are good to post the data. So response request dot post. So the post should be the URL. So in our case, it's endpoint, and the data should be in JSON. So data and headers equal to headers. So this is the one of the way we can post this data to a given API, just like this. Okay. What else? And let's assume if we have a try exception, and in case of any error, just give and print E. Also, let's take a look what is the response. Content. Cool. Now it's time to validate our function, the add room function. Let's execute this. Command unknown should be okay. Sorry for that. Okay. Now let's try with login. Password is wrong. That should be fine. We have to provide so our design is working. That is cool, right? And taken 1, 2, 3, generating a token, it retrieves the data. Now I want to insert the data or add a room. So let's assume this should be 4th room, and guest is admin, because remember we just passing the foreign key, not an the actual username, and just provide 27 6 and copy that, and should be checkout is something like this. If I add room, okay, seems like it's added, but I don't see the value here. And okay, we can do something like this. Once we added the data or the room, it should be retrieve the data here. Also, it has to be clear this form, right? So that's why that's how we can validate. We can perform other operations, just like if you want to add another room, right? Otherwise, it get confused for the user. It is in the old data or some new data, something like that. Okay, but just make sure it is at least, created the data or not. Go back to a list API, and I should see room number 4. Right? So if I log in again, it will do a duplicate. So what we can do is can test it out like this. And see it is retrieving the 3 rows. Perfect. So now let's work on it should clear the data from the form. It's not a form, from the grid. also from all the text box, as well as I want to retrieve the data back to that same list box rather than doing manually again. Manually means which I log in, log out again. So what we can do is let's get rid of this. And if you remember, we already tested with how we can get rid of the data from the text box using clear form like this, delete the data from 0 to n. So we're going to use the same thing here. So the room list box has to be clear. And room list zero comma end. So the room list is nothing but this one. Where it is here. So it's clear the entire box, entire list box, and then it will insert the new line back. I mean, it will insert the new added record at the end of the line. So what I mean is, you can see this next line, this command. So room list dot insert, because after that creation of the new room, I need to add this line, add that record end, and then so basically we need to add all this data, right? So we need to add room.text, comma the guest.text and check-in.text and checkout.text. Also, after I added the data, into list box, I need to clear the text box, right? We already have that clear text. That is clear text should be somewhere, right? So let me. Oh, sorry, it should be clear form. So clear form, and once I clear the form, then I need to retrieve the data back from the database, from the database interest API, and then populate in that list box, right? So we can call the retrieve list just like this. If I save this, let's take a look. So admin, so it's retrieve the password, retrieve all the data. Now let's say I add another room, 2020 07 07 and then 08. If I add the room, if you see, it's clear the data, and why why it's added in the line? Okay, I understand the reason. So this is considering the each individual data, right? So that's why every whatever the data we are passing, it is inserting into the new line, but we want to add in a single line, so we can pass that as a group of tuples like this. Let's take a look now. Everything is learning, guys. Click on 3. Now let's add room number 6, 20. and 07, 20, and 21. Now if I add room, cool. Okay. I see the two lines, right? So what was the reason? One second, guys. I'm doing something wrong here. Just want to make sure. Into 3. Okay, retrieval is working perfectly. Let's add room number is 10 and 2020, 7, 25, checking date, and it should be 28. Let's assume. If I add room, okay, it's doing something else. It's not inserting the data. Okay, let's debug what's going on. So once we should be clear form only. So once we added the data in the database, why it is not adding the first line? Interesting. So okay, so we are passing the room list, and the room list is deleting the room list is nothing but our checkbox, sorry, list box. So list box is deleting the data. I mean, deleting the first line and till the last line, and then insert the last line with this room text, guest text, checkout text. Why are we doing something is wrong in retrieval? So we have an API and header, and it is receiving the data book.values response room insert. That should be fine. What's wrong with this code? Let's take a look, guys. Okay, so retrieval is perfectly working. So what I want is, if I add the room, it should be in the end of the line. Okay, let's say room number 20, which is 1, 20, 07, 20, 8 days. I'm gonna book this room and add room. Clear text. Clear text. Oh, I didn't save this. Sorry. Admin 7 into 3. Room number is 325. 1, 2, 715. And space 17. Add room. Okay, why it is adding? This is something I don't want. Okay, let me get rid of this for a moment, guys, and see what will happen. Debugging is always interesting. Stock generator, say 30 and 2020. Let's go to August and 03. I go. Okay, since we are not deleting the data, it is duplicating each individual rows. Right. So this has to be that. And what else we're missing? So we're using the clear form properly. Yes. And there should be room entry, check-in entry, check-out entry. Doing anything wrong in the retrieval list? Let's take a look at the retrieval list. Oh, okay. As we are inserting the line and then we are retrieving the data, so whatever the data is already there, we're not deleting, right? We're not clearing out from the list box. So I think it should work whenever we run the retrieve list function. It should get rid of the old list box and get back the new data. Let's take a look. And this time, okay, I have 11 rows. Room number is 50. Guest is admin 2020. Say 9 03, something like that, guys. 405. Let's add room. Wow, perfect. Okay, after long debugging, we found the way. Guys, sorry for that. I usually don't editing my video upload, so I took a while for debugging this code. So you can always skip that portion, but this is a good opportunity to debug the code, right? Whatever we are doing. day-to-day that gives more uh, stuff for us to understand. Okay, cool. Now let's move on, guys. So let me select one more time. Just want to show you. So once we retrieve the data, our next operation is the update and delete room, right? So delete room is something like we have to select that option and delete that. For update, when I select that text box or data here, I want to have the data in all my text box and then change the data here and update the value in the backend. Okay, so we need to do two operations here, one with select operation and then all these two operations back to back. So now let's work on the selection part. I think we already have that skeleton and yes, so we can use that. So let's have try, and so I'm gonna have the index. So room list, that is our list box, and current selection, that's the way we need to select the data from that list box. So the value of the in array, so we can get the value like this, and selected item equal to room list dot get, and that index, basically the position of that list box. And then let's have this except exception as e print e. Okay, so we get the selections from the list box, but we need to append the data in our text box, all the relevant text box, right? So one of the ways we need to delete the existing entry, just like this, delete. If there is any data exist in the text box already, then we have to get rid of that, and then room entry insert with that end position with the selected item of the first index, because that is a first value, right? From our data, if you remember our data, we have a ID and room number, guest ID, and check-in date, checkout date. So if I want to grab the room entry, then I have to provide the room entry value. So that is available in first position. It's not in zero position. Zero position is ID, right? So we have to use like this. And then next is guest entry. So I'm going to copy paste like this. Sorry. Check-in and checkout. So I'm going to copy the guest entry. That should be 2, right? Because that is the third position. Because array starts from 0. 0 is ID, and so on. And what else? This is the check-in entry, and we will have a checkout entry. So it should be correspondingly 3 and 4. Cool. Let's take a look. So login. If I select the list box, takes 0, but 1 was given. What is the issue? Okay, we'll see what's going on. So it is a kind of select item. Okay, where is our select item function? Oh, so the way list boxes work is basically each individual option, it will have the binding event. So we have to have the parameter, something like event. Then show it what. Let's see. Run this and name Tkinter and 23. Backend Tkinter and 23. Okay, if I select, I don't get any error. Perfect. So using this option, we are gonna perform update and deletion operation. So where is our update button? So update button here, right? So we can copy this and name it as update item or update. Or we can consistently have that update item. So next to add, I'm gonna create that. So div update item. So pretty much the same logic. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. Except the endpoint, right? For edit, if I remember correctly, let's say the ID is 1 and edit. So this is how we can update the respect to data. If I go back to my URL just to make sure, yes, the ID, PK primary key, and the edit URL. All right. So now we need to have edit, but we need to dynamically get the ID column, right? If you remember in our selection list box, we are retrieving the primary key also on the list box, as well as the all other respective data. So we can use that primary key and we can update the data. So in order to get the primary key, we can use pk equals to the selected items. So where is our selected item? So if you remember, just before we created the select item, from this, the list select item 1 is our room number, and this is guest ID, and this is check-in and checkout date. So the first column, the first row is first data is nothing but ID, primary key, right? So now I want to grab this column out of the function. If you remember in part 2, we used global, right? So likewise, we're going to use the global selected item. Now this function, this variable available for other in outside of this function as well. I can use this like this to grab the primary key of the given data. Right. So now I use f string. I can pass pk just like this, and we can keep all the other stuff just like this, and what else? And we need to update the data, right? So we can instead of post, so that's how our update API will work in REST framework. So we have to explicitly provide the put operation or put method here. And yeah, I think should work just like that. I believe. Let's get off this because we're not going to use anything. Just an updating, right? So, but after the update, we need to fetch the data from database and show in the list box. That's what we want to call this function back. So let's take a API. We have to log in first. Log in. Okay, let's take this one. If I select this item, if you see, it pop up all the data into the text box, just like this. Now I want to update this from, I want to extend my checkout date to another 2 more days. So I'm going to extend 7. If I click on update, anything happen? It should be 7, right? Okay. Okay. If you see this error, the trailing slash is causing this issue. So this can be get rid of by adding slash, or you can change the setting in our Django settings certificate, but we're not going to do that. We can have this slash symbol here. Now admin on 1, 2, 3 login. Now let's update this to 7. Update room. Put this working perfectly. Cool, right? If you see this update from 5 to 7, right? So this is how we need to perform the update operation. Now let's move on to delete. Okay, so I'm gonna use the same approach. I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. Instead of update, remove, and obviously what we have to do, we have to add the command in a remove button. Copy that, one of the existing one, and remove item. And what is the URL for delete? It should be id delete, right? So we can, so obviously we need that primary key, which data has to delete, right? So we can use just like that and delete URL, because that's how we are configured in our REST API. And then here, for delete operation doesn't require any data. Or let's keep the data as well, because sometimes it may require, so I'm going to keep as it is data, and token is required, but instead of put, we're going to go with the delete, and after also I need to retrieve the data. So save this and save this, and I'm going to run this now. I'm going to admin. Okay, so before delete, we need to select the item, right? So just click on delete. So obviously it will pop up in all the text box. Now I want to delete this 12th primary key and 50th room number, right? Let's perform this delete operation. Delete. Delete is done. After retrieval, we no longer have that 12th primary key and our 15th room data. Perfect. So we have completed our uh, end-to-end front-end application design using the Django REST framework. So I think hopefully I believe you guys really enjoyed this video. If you not, let me know in the comment section also. I can change my uh, the way I'm explaining. So I'm planning to start working on uh, other option is, other tutorial is this portion, this block, simple search engine Django API. So this is something really interesting, posted by Arun. And so most of the time we don't want to use React or Vue. We want to stick with the vanilla JavaScript itself to perform all the operation. So this simple search application will have the, just like a search app, and we can see how we can use the pure Java vanilla script to handle such a kind of operation. It's pretty simple and cool. This is what I'm planning to take in next section. Yeah, we'll see you in next video, guys. Thank you.